Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Saturday, December 19, 2020. For today's editorial, the Philippines is not ready for school reopening. Announcement by the Department of Education, or DepEd, that in-person classes for school children would be pilot tested in approximately 1,100 schools beginning as early next month, a plan which has been approved by President Duterte, has been met with nearly universal alarm and dissent among the public. This should be a clear signal to the government that the country is clearly not yet ready to reopen schools, and that the idea should be shelved for the time being. There are several compelling reasons to further delay the return to regular classes for students, beginning with a lack of consistent data as to the impact of school reopening on the spread of COVID-19, and none whatsoever from this country. The various attempts of researchers to form empirical conclusions from other countries, in particular the United States, have had contradictory results. Research from Spain and from some states in the US has shown that increases in infections in particular areas are not necessarily connected to in-person classes, and that infections among school populations do not spread at a noticeably faster rate than among the general population. On the other hand, a broader study of 6,000 school districts across the US, published at the beginning of this month, essentially found the opposite to be true. Infection rates in most school districts accelerated after school reopening, compared with the rates in the same districts during the period when their local schools were closed. However, that latter research did find some mitigating factors. Reducing class sizes by 50% appeared to reduce infection rates by 40%, compared to areas with normal-sized classes. In addition, infection rates associated with high school student populations are about twice as high as they are for elementary students. So, keeping the older students at home presumably reduces the risk of reopening schools. One clear takeaway from all the research, regardless of the conclusions reached, is that there is a great deal of uncertainty about the validity of those conclusions, if applied to other places and contexts. Every study ends with a version of the caveat, "Your results may vary." This means that reopening schools here will unavoidably be an experiment, and that is an idea that makes many school families, educators, and students very uncomfortable. That discomfort is not relieved at all by the understandable perception of mixed signals from the government regarding the ongoing risk from COVID-19. The reopening of schools is part of a steady push by the government over the past couple of months to reopen more of the economy and encourage more normal activity, encouraging domestic travel, allowing more businesses to open or operate at higher capacities, and reducing curfew restrictions. While doing that, however, it is also warning of increasing danger from the pandemic, threatening to arrest people for violations such as gathering for Christmas parties and issuing ridiculous edicts such as requiring people to wear face shields at all times. It has also been noted that the plan to reopen schools, even on a limited basis, badly contradicts the position stated emphatically by President Duterte on several early occasions that there would be no in-person classes permitted until a vaccine is available. While there are undeniable benefits from having normal in-person classes, particularly for very young and other at-risk students, and while this is undoubtedly a proper concern of DepEd, now is not the time to send students back to school. Warnings issued by the Department of Health and other experts in the past several days of the possibility of a strong surge in COVID-19 cases may or may not come to pass. But since those warnings have been issued, reopening classes appears risky, if not reckless. And regardless of the actual risk, any school reopening plan will fail if it does not have the support of the public and students' families. They will be less likely to cooperate with health and other safety measures, and more likely will decline to let their children participate at all. Although it is definitely less than an ideal situation, continuing to substitute distance for classroom learning is still the safest option. With prospects of a vaccine now much closer than they were even a few weeks ago, it is better to follow the President's original prescription and keep schools closed until it arrives. And that's the editorial for Saturday, December 19, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.